Belize is one of those countries that does not fit neatly into a single label. Look at a map, and it sits firmly on the mainland of Central America, bordered by Mexico to the north and Guatemala to the west and south. But look east, and Belize opens directly onto the Caribbean Sea. Its coastline, islands, reefs, languages, music, and political ties connect it deeply to the Caribbean world. This is why Belize is often described as both Central American and Caribbean at the same time. It is small in land area, lightly populated, and easy to overlook on a regional map. Yet its history, ecosystems, and cultural identity make it one of the most distinctive countries in the Western Hemisphere. Geographically, Belize occupies the northeastern coast of Central America. To the north is Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, to the west and south is Guatemala, and to the east is the Caribbean Sea. Belize also shares a maritime boundary with Honduras to the southeast, linking it to the wider Caribbean basin. The country covers about 22,970 square kilometers, or 8,867 square miles. Its mainland stretches roughly 290 kilometers from north to south and about 110 kilometers from east to west. These dimensions make Belize compact, but its position is strategic. It sits at a meeting point between tropical forests, coastal wetlands, river systems, offshore islands, and one of the world's most important reef environments. Long before Belize existed as a modern state, this region formed part of the world of the ancient Maya. The Maya civilization expanded into what is now Belize between roughly 1500 BC and 300 AD, and for centuries the area supported communities, trade routes, ceremonial centers, and agricultural systems. Belize was not a remote edge of Maya civilization, it was part of a wider network that connected present-day Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. Maya communities developed sophisticated knowledge of farming, astronomy, architecture, and political organization. They built settlements in forested lowlands and along rivers, taking advantage of Belize's natural landscape. The Maya presence flourished until about 1200, and Maya peoples and languages remain an essential part of Belize's identity today. European contact began in the early 1500s, when Christopher Columbus sailed along the Gulf of Honduras between 1502 and 1504. However, Spanish control over the territory that became Belize was never as firmly established as in many other parts of Central America. English settlers began exploring and settling in the area in the 1600s, especially from around 1638. Over time, the coast attracted people involved in logging and trade, particularly the cutting of valuable woods. Spain and Britain both claimed influence over the territory, creating a long rivalry. Belize's later history would be shaped by this competition, not only between empires, but also between coastal settlement, indigenous presence, enslaved labor, and the economic demands of the colonial world. A major turning point came with the Battle of St. George's Caye in 1798. British settlers and their allies defeated Spanish forces, strengthening British control over the area. The battle became central to Belize's national memory because it symbolized the defense of the settlement against Spanish claims. In the 19th century, British authority became more formal. The territory became a British colony in 1840 and then a Crown colony in 1862, known for much of its colonial history as British Honduras. This name reflected British rule and the region's location near the Gulf of Honduras. Colonial Belize was shaped by logging, social hierarchy, and connections to the British Caribbean, rather than by the Spanish colonial institutions that dominated much of mainland Central America. Belize became independent from the United Kingdom on September 21, 1981. Independence did not erase its British institutional legacy. Belize remains the only mainland Central American country that is a Commonwealth realm. That means King Charles III is the country's monarch and head of state, represented inside Belize by a governor-general. This political arrangement places Belize in a rare category, geographically on the Central American mainland, but constitutionally and historically tied to the Commonwealth Caribbean. Belize is also part of CARICOM, the Caribbean Community, which links it to countries such as Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and others. Its diplomacy, education, law, and public institutions still reflect this blend of Caribbean and British-influenced traditions. Belize's capital is Belmopan, but its largest city is Belize City. This often surprises people, because Belize City is far better known internationally and historically served as the main urban center. Belmopan became the capital after concerns about hurricanes and coastal vulnerability made an inland administrative center more practical. Belize City, located on the coast, remains economically and culturally important, but Belmopan represents a deliberate move towards safer and more centralized governance. This contrast tells us something about Belize itself. The sea is central to its identity, but the country also depends on inland landscapes, administrative planning, and connections among communities spread across a relatively small territory. Belize has the smallest population and the lowest population density in Central America. In 2022, its population was about 397,483 people. That means Belize has a level of open space that is unusual in the region. Its population growth rate has also been relatively high, estimated at 1.87% per year in 2018, making it one of the faster-growing populations in the Western Hemisphere. A small population does not mean a simple society, however. Belize is culturally diverse, with communities connected to Maya heritage, African and Caribbean history, European colonial influence, Latin American migration, and mixed cultural traditions. This diversity is one reason Belize's national identity cannot be reduced to a single origin story. Language is one of the clearest signs of Belize's uniqueness. It is the only country in Central America where English is the official language. This comes from its history as a British colony, rather than a Spanish colony. But everyday life is much more multilingual than that simple fact suggests. Belizean Creole is widely spoken and serves as an important language of identity and daily communication. Spanish is also widely used, especially because of Belize's location beside Spanish-speaking countries and its diverse population. Mayan languages are spoken as well, preserving deep historical roots. More than half the population is multilingual, which makes Belize a place where language constantly reflects history, migration, education, and cultural exchange. Belize is also known for cultural expression, especially its September celebrations and punta music. The September celebrations connect two major national moments: the commemoration of the Battle of St. George's Caye and Independence Day on September 21st. During this period, public events, parades, music, and national colors turn history into a living civic tradition. Punta music, associated especially with Garifuna culture, adds another layer to Belize's cultural identity. Its rhythms, dance, and performance traditions connect Belize to the broader Caribbean coast of Central America. These cultural forms are not just entertainment. They carry memory, community pride, and the ongoing mixing of African, indigenous, Caribbean, and Central American influences. One of Belize's greatest global treasures is its natural environment. The country has an abundance of terrestrial and marine plants and animals, along with a wide diversity of ecosystems. These include tropical forests, wetlands, rivers, mangroves, coastal areas, islands, and extensive coral reefs. Belize is part of the Mesoamerican Biological Corridor, a regionally and globally significant network of habitats that supports biodiversity across national borders. This matters because wildlife does not follow political lines on a map. Forests and marine systems in Belize connect to larger ecological patterns across Central America and the Caribbean. Conservation in Belize therefore has importance far beyond the country's size. Belize's marine environment is especially famous because of its coral reef systems. The Belize Barrier Reef is part of the larger Mesoamerican reef system, one of the most important reef regions on Earth. Coral reefs protect coastlines, support fisheries, attract tourism, and provide habitat for countless marine species. They also face pressures from climate change, warming oceans, storms, and human activity. For Belize, the reef is not only a scenic attraction. It is tied to livelihoods, food systems, national income, and environmental responsibility. This is where Belize's identity as a Caribbean nation becomes very visible. Life along the sea is economic, ecological, and cultural all at once. So, what makes Belize stand out? It is a mainland country with a Caribbean soul, an English-speaking state surrounded by mostly Spanish-speaking neighbors, and a small nation with unusually large ecological importance. Its story begins with ancient Maya civilization, passes through British and Spanish imperial rivalry, continues through colonial British Honduras, and reaches independence in 1981. Today, Belize balances multiple identities: Central American, Caribbean, Commonwealth, multilingual, multicultural, and environmentally significant. Its size may be modest, but its complexity is not. Belize shows how geography, history, language, and ecology can combine to create a country that belongs to more than one world at the same time. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.